I get up at around 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I get ready, have bath, and it takes me about 1 hour to get ready. And then I do yoga exercise, and after that I have breakfast, and after that I read some newspapers for about half an hour.
What kind of yoga exercise do you do? You do asanas?
I do mostly Surya Namaskar. Yes.
Yeah. You do some pranayamas as well?
Pranayam, yes, little bit, yes. And after breakfast, I read newspapers for about half an hour. Then I sit quietly, and I write every day since 1980. 1st January 1980, I started writing. So every day I write, and I don't know what I am going to write, but I pick up the pen, and whatever comes to my mind, I write. So I write for about half an hour or so. And after that, sometimes I study physics, or sometimes if some interesting book I am reading, I read about some philosophy or like that. And sometimes I don't do anything, just walk back and forth in my room, and just doing nothing like that. Then sometime I go in the city if I have some work, because I don't have a computer at home, so I go to a cyber cafe.
So you write by hand?
I write by hand, yes. And so I go to cyber cafe and I check my email, and Facebook, I have many friends, I communicate. So I do that for about 1 hour or so.
How long is the commute from your home to the city?
It is nearby. It's about 5-10 minutes walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
That's nice.
Maybe I'm thinking of buying some laptop like this, so that I don't need to go out, and I can check anytime, you know. So,
you have internet at home.
Right, yeah. But only thing, it becomes heavy. I keep very minimum things in my room.
Right.
I don't keep many things with me.
Yeah. But you can buy a small laptop like this one.
Yeah,
it's quite
I have
light.
a small mobile. On that I can check email also. Yeah.
And your writings, what have you been writing about recently?
Writing about what I observe, what is happening outside. If I have some dialogue with somebody, I write about that. Or some kind of challenging myself, whatever comes. So some experiences, if I in nature or like that. Yeah.
And you mentioned your students in Northern California. These are like Rishi Valley students, for example.
Yes.
Okay, I thought
whom
so.
I taught in 1980s and 90s. Right.
So you're in touch with a lot of your past students.
Yeah,
you're in touch. How many years did you teach at the Krishnamurti schools?
Since 79.
Okay.
So 79 to 1998.
Oh, I thought you said you retired in 2007.
Yes, but after that, after Rishi Valley, I went to another school, KFI school, called Sahyadri School.
Right.
After Sahyadri School, I went to Valley School in Bangalore.
Okay.
And I taught there for 3 years. And I retired from Valley School in 2007.
I see. So how many years did you teach at Krishnamurti schools?
About 27.
Okay.
28.
Do you get some sort of a pension?
No, I don't get. When I joined the school, Rishi Valley, at that time, I told them that I have not come as a job, and I don't take any money. So first 5 years I did not take any money. Then the school said that you should take some money. So I said okay, whatever. So they were giving me some very little money, just to cover my expenses.
Right.
After that, then they said that you should take money like any other teacher. So I said, okay. So I was getting money like any other teacher, like that. So that money was good enough for my expenses.
Right. So you saved basically and so on.
Yes, but I worked in Canada and I had saved some money. 4 years I had worked.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to be nosy about your personal situation, but I was just curious more generally.
Yeah.
Do the teachers of Krishnamurti schools in India who teach for a few decades,
Yeah.
when they retire,
Yes.
do they get something or usually nothing?
They do get because I had a Canadian passport.
You still have? You have a Canadian passport? Right.
Yes. So I was not also eligible to get a regular appointment. So my appointment was like some honorarium. They were giving me some money. But other teachers, they have a regular job and they get many benefits also.
So in India then, when somebody retires, do they get like a social security from the state?
No, there is no social security. But they have something like a provident fund where they get some money when they retire from that organization in which.
In this case, from Rishi Valley, for example.
Yeah, right.
For the rest of their life.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
They have some security.
That's right.
For their physical needs.
Yes, but I did not get any when I retired. No, nothing.
So do you ever regret not having gotten married? Because you're like me, you've been single all your life.
Yeah, no, it is very much necessary for me to be alone. Because when I am with somebody, I don't have the freedom to do what I like to do.
Right.
And so I don't regret at all.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I feel very happy that I'm able to do whatever I like to do. Yeah. And when you get married, then you have to earn money for your children and responsibilities, all that.
It's a big project.
Right. So I don't regret at all. I find it is better that I did not marry.
Yeah, I feel the same way actually. Having kids is like a long-term project. Yeah. And not only you have to make a living to feed them now, but you have to think 20 years down the road and their college and so on and so forth. So I respect people who do that. You know?
Right, yeah.
My parents did that. But it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I have other priorities. You met Krishnamurti, you had some personal interviews with him.
Yes.
I remember.
You want to know the whole story?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, I came to America first time in 1969 and I studied for my master's degree. And when I came to America, I did not know anything about America. I was not exposed to Western culture. So it created many problems, all kinds of problems like health problem, financial problem, academic problem, food and climate, loneliness, all that. But slowly, all these problems were solved. Academic problem, I was doing very well, and I also worked in the summer holidays in Chicago, earned some money. I also worked on campus. Later on, I got scholarship from the department. So financial problem was not there, academic problem was not there. And we were cooking Indian food with some other students. So food and climate, everything was fine, except thinking was a problem about future and all that. So I completed my master's degree and then I continued for PhD. So when I was doing my PhD at Iowa State University, I was passing by a bookshop, university bookshop, and I saw one book of Krishnamurti through the window. It was The Flight of the Eagle.
Yeah.
And I did not know who was Krishnamurti at that time, but I liked the title of the book and I liked the photograph. So I bought that book, and when I started reading, I found that I could see what he was talking in myself. Like he was asking questions like, why do we think of ourselves as Indian or Chinese or American? Because I was thinking myself like an Indian. I was not able to communicate well with Americans. And so he said that all human beings go through problems of psychological nature, like fear or anger, jealousy, and loneliness is common to all human beings. So then I felt that I was not alone. There were people like me, and I began to observe things outside, and I found that Americans were also lonely in their own country. And there was they were watching all these bad films, violent films, in 1970s, and there were many hippies and at that time. So when I realized that I am not different psychologically, I began to open up, and then I could communicate with people of many different nationalities, and I lived with them, shared apartments with them. But important thing, what I liked what Krishnamurti said, is that all our problems of psychological nature, it comes from thinking. And from thinking comes sense of I or sense me, self, thinker. Right. And once this thinker comes, then it says I like it, I don't like, and all that problem of choice, comparison, and all that separation starts. So this was something very new to me, because I had not come across anybody who said that from thinking comes the thinker, me, self or ego. So I had an office. I used to sit quietly in my office and try to watch what is happening inside me, how these thoughts arise. So when I was very, very acutely aware, there was nothing happening. Thoughts, thinking stopped. And then it was a wonderful thing to feel no thought, no problem, nothing. Everything is wonderful, So this became very important thing for me, to just watch, not to do anything, but just watching and allowing things to unfold. And then I read many books of Krishnamurti for 4 years. Especially I like the commentaries on living, yes, in which he goes step by step on one-to-one basis with people of many different background, and he leads them to the source from where all this problem arise. So I begin to feel something within me, in my brain, my body, many experiences. And I wrote a letter to Krishnamurti, and few months after I read the first book, and I wrote to him that I have been reading books by Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, the traditional books. For many years I was reading. But after reading Krishnamurti's books, I could really see something within myself, how the whole thing is coming. So, then I wrote many letters to Krishnamurti over the years. The first one, I got the answer from Mary Zimbalist, and she wrote that Mr. Krishnamurti has read your letter and he hopes that everything will be all right. And after that, I kept on writing to him, describing what was happening in me, but I was not asking any question. So I wrote to him always that I'm not asking you any question. And then I completed my PhD and I went to Waterloo in Ontario. I was doing work, research in engineering, and I had money and I had also time, holidays. So I came to Ojai in 1977 and I saw Krishnamurti for the first time. I listened to him.
You went to the public talks?
Public talks,
yeah.
Yes. And I liked the place, very beautiful place. Meet many people here who are interested. Because when I was in Iowa and Canada, there wasn't anybody with whom I could discuss anything. So it was, Krishnamurti was like my friend mentally, and otherwise people were not interested in that. So I listened to Krishnamurti in 1977. What he was saying was not new to me. I had read everything, I had seen in myself many things. But one day he was in 1977, he was standing under a tree. So one day after the talk, Krishnamurti was standing under a tree all by himself, and we were standing in a queue to get our lunch. And at that time, a friend of mine, he said, look, Krishnamurti is standing there, why don't you go and say hello to him? So I said, but I don't have anything to talk with him. So I was very hesitant to go. But my friend says, no, you go. So I went very close to him, and then he looked at me as if he was not looking at me. It was a very strange look. Maybe he was not in this world. But my mind also stopped when I looked at him. I also looked at him, and then I extended my hand. And then he took my hand, and then without saying anything, I went back. So that was my first meeting with him, which was completely non-verbal. But I felt very happy after that. And then after listening to him for 2 weeks, I went back to Canada. And in 1978, next year again, I visited Ojai, listened to him, then went back again to Canada. And then I had come in contact with some other people, other spiritual group, and I had some friends. They were very good.
But
and
K was not a guru, right?
Huh?
You didn't consider K a guru?
No, not as guru. Yeah. So these people wanted me to join their community. They had in Toronto and in Colorado.
Who?
They were calling Integrity Group or Emissaries of Divine Light.
Who was the guru?
Guru was some Lord Martin Cecil, somebody like that. So I did not know anything about him, but I knew these people. They were very good, and I used to go to their community in Toronto, and they were very happy, cheerful people and very friendly. And they also liked me, and they wanted me to join the group. So I said that I want to listen to Krishnamurti for one more time, and then maybe I will join your group. So I came in 1979, and when I was listening one time in the public talk of Krishnamurti, then I saw something around Krishnamurti's face, some kind of aura, the light radiating, and a different kind of face appeared there. And I wondered what it was, but then it disappeared, that face, after a few seconds. But
what was it? What kind of face was it?
it was the face of an old man with a white beard, and looked like some paintings I may have seen of Leonardo
Da Vinci.
Vinci, some kind of that face it was there. So, but I listened to him like I had not listened before.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear the sounds coming from very far. Children, they were shouting, and the dogs were barking, and
The
all
birds
that.
and the breeze.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So next day I wrote a letter to Krishnaji, and I did not write about what I saw, but I wrote that I have always considered you like my grandfather ever since you ignited a flame in my life, and that was about 7 years ago. And I wrote that the flame has become brighter now, and I wrote that I would be happy to dedicate my life to Krishnamurti schools. I would like to teach about love, beauty and life to children, but I don't know how to do that. But I can teach physics and mathematics, for which I am very qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that it would be very nice to meet you, but I know that there are many people like me and you may not have time, and something like that I wrote, and then I went back to Canada. No, I wrote that, and I gave the letter to Mark Lee to give it to Krishnaji. And then few days after that, there was a music program in the octagonal pavilion, and Lakshmi Shankar had come to sing for Krishnaji, and all these musicians had come, and everybody had come. I was sitting in front of the musician, and we were waiting for Krishnaji to come, and suddenly something began to happen to my body. My body became very warm, and then my brain and heart both started throbbing, and I closed my eyes, and then I saw Krishnamurti pass by, and he took his seat there, and I did not look at him, but it felt like there was some kind of communion, and it went on for some minutes. And then I could hear something like "leave him alone," something like that, And then it stopped.
Inwardly.
Inwardly, yes.
You were like full of energy, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when everything looked so wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt that something happened inside, which cleaned up many things inside, And then I wrote another letter to him, and I felt like I had received his blessings.
But you didn't get an answer to your first letter.
First letter, no. So I wrote the second letter, and in that I wrote that maybe that you will find in what I wrote in
your account of it, which is on my website actually.
Yeah. You will find that.
Yeah.
So second letter I wrote, and then I went back to Canada, and I could not sleep for 2 days, and then I wrote another letter, and in that I wrote that now it is very clear that my life is meant for this Krishnamurti schools, and I have some money. I would like to give up everything to the foundation, and I don't remember right now what I wrote.
Give the money to the foundation, or give your life to the school.
Life and everything I had, yes.
But you wanted to also give the money away, or you were going to keep the money for your savings?
No, I wanted to give up whatever I had saved.
Even the money?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. So I could give also my life. I wrote that may all the remaining years of my life be added to your life. And I wrote that the burning volcano of passion must remain alive for many years to come. The tiger must continue to roar for many years to come. Something like that. Whatever came spontaneously, I wrote that, And then the one letter which I wrote from Canada, in that I wrote that it is very clear that my life is meant for. Please write back to me. First time I wrote that, please write back to me, and so he himself wrote a very nice letter, a very affectionate letter, and he said that he would talk about me to the principal, Mr. Narayan of Rishi Valley School, and he will write to you. So a few days after that, I got a letter from Mr. Narayan, and he was in Brookwood Park at that time. And he wrote that, why don't you come to Brookwood? And Krishnaji is also here, and we will talk with him about your coming to India. So I went to Brookwood, and it was my first visit, so I did not know how to go. And I inquired at the airport how to go to Brookwood, and they told me that I had to take a bus and then train.
Petersfield and so on.
Yeah, right. So I did that, and I told them Bramdin, not so. It was a strange way. I had and the bus driver, he dropped me at some place, and he said, now you walk on this path and you will come to Bramdin. So I started walking, and I walked for a long period. Finally I came to one petrol pump, and there I asked, where is Brookwood Park School? Then they called the school, and somebody came to pick me up. And then I met Mr. Narayan, and I was very hungry and tired, so I had lunch. And then I wanted to go back to my room, and I told Mr. Narayan that I'm feeling tired and sleepy, so I will go to my room. So Mr. Narayan said, no, let's just go for a short walk. Then he took me to the grove, and there I saw the trees, beautiful redwood trees. And it looked like very strange, very beautiful, the trees and the flowers, and all my tiredness was gone. And I remember I asked Mr. Narayan how much the foundation paid to get all this property. So he said 40,000 pounds. So I said, that's all to me, just this one tree looks like 40,000 pounds, And then he said, look, who is there? So Krishnamurti was in that grove, and maybe he might have, his presence might have influence, I don't know. Yeah. But then I went back, and next day I had...
you didn't talk with him that
No,
day?
I did not talk. Next day, then I had a lunch with him, and I was sitting in front of him, and he asked me some questions about my family background and what they thought about giving up the job in Canada. So I told him that I had helped enough my father because he needed my help. I had helped him enough, and I was free to do what I wanted to do. And teaching was the thing which I really wanted to do in my life, So then he said, okay. Then he said two things. He said, try, go to Rishi Valley, try for a year or two. It's possible that you may not like us or we may not like you. And then the other thing he said, don't stay long at one place. So when he said that we may not like you, then I thought that it's okay if the school doesn't like me, I will go away, And I did not want anything from the school. I just wanted to help, like that. And about going to some different places, I told Krishnaji that all places are fine for me, like that. So he said, yes, I know that, And then I went back to Canada to finish my work. And then in November 1979, I went to Rishi Valley.
What were you doing at that time? Were you teaching?
Where in Canada? I was doing mostly research in electrical.
Postdoctorate.
Postdoctorate. Postdoctorate, yeah. And I was doing little bit of teaching.
Yeah.
So I went back to India and went directly to Rishi Valley. And there, when I entered the campus, I saw Krishnamurti was coming out for his evening walk, and the school vehicle took me to the guest house, and there it was a beautiful evening, wonderful light, and I felt that this place would be my home, and I have always felt like that. So it was, and then Krishnaji was coming to Rishi Valley every year up to his death, 86. So I had the opportunity to talk with him one-to-one, 2-3 times, and with a group of teachers many times. Sometime having lunch with him and talking. So like that.